Long ago, in a quiet valley where the hills touched the sky, a young boy sat beside his grandfather every evening, listening to stories, stories of brave travelers, of rivers that never stopped flowing, of people who lost everything and still found hope. But something strange always happened. No matter how beautiful the story was, the boy never understood its true meaning. One night, after a story filled with courage and pain, the boy finally asked, "Grandfather, why don't you ever tell me the lesson?" Instead of answering, the old man placed a shining fruit on the table. It glowed in the sunset light and said nothing. Why would a simple fruit be the answer to life's biggest lessons? And how would this quiet moment change the boy forever? Stay with me, because what happened next holds a truth we all need to hear. The village rested between soft hills and wide fields of golden grass. Small wooden homes stood along dusty paths. Smoke curled gently from cooking fires. Chickens wandered freely. Life was simple, and every evening when the sky turned orange and purple, travelers would arrive. Some rode tired horses, some walked with heavy bags. All carried stories. The young boy would rush to the center of the village. He sat cross-legged near his grandfather, eyes wide, heart ready. One traveler spoke of crossing a raging river and almost drowning. Another told of losing his family to sickness, but finding peace through kindness. Another shared how greed had ruined his life. The boy listened to every word, but when the stories ended, confusion always followed. He felt something deep inside, but he couldn't name it. He wanted answers. He wanted the meaning. One evening, after a long story about a man who sacrificed everything to save a stranger, the boy pulled his grandfather's sleeve. "Grandfather," he whispered, "why don't you explain the lesson? I hear the stories, but I don't understand." The old man smiled softly. His face was lined with years of sun and wisdom. Without speaking, he reached into a basket beside him and pulled out a small fruit, golden, smooth, shining in the fading light. He placed it gently on the wooden table between them. The boy stared. "Is this the lesson?" he asked. The grandfather finally spoke. "Tell me, my child, if I bite this fruit and tell you how sweet it is, will you truly know its taste?" The boy thought. "No, I would only hear about it." The grandfather nodded slowly. Life's lessons are the same. Silence filled the air. The village sounds faded, just crickets and the soft wind. "Wisdom," the old man said quietly, "cannot be given. It must be tasted." The boy felt confused, but something stirred in his heart. That night, he couldn't sleep. He stared at the wooden ceiling, the fruit, the stories, the words, tasted. He remembered the river story, the fear in the traveler's voice, the sacrifice story, the tears. Suddenly, he understood. The stories weren't meant to be explained. They were meant to be felt, to be lived inside the heart. The next day, he listened differently. When a traveler spoke of losing his home, the boy felt the pain. When someone told of helping a stranger, he felt warmth. When greed destroyed a life, he felt the emptiness. You might feel this too. Sometimes we hear advice, but only understand it when life touches us. Days became weeks, weeks became months. The boy grew taller, stronger, wiser, not because someone explained lessons, but because he experienced them through stories. He began helping others, sharing food, comforting sad travelers, working hard, and slowly, the stories became part of him. One year, a terrible storm hit the valley. Rain poured endlessly. The river rose higher than ever before. Homes flooded. Animals were lost. People cried. The boy remembered a story about courage. Without thinking, he ran into the water, helping children reach safety, holding on to ropes, pulling neighbors from danger. Fear shook his body, but his heart was strong. Later, soaked and exhausted, he sat beside his grandfather. The old man smiled proudly. "Now," he said softly, "you tasted the lesson." Tears filled the boy's eyes. He finally understood. Years passed. The boy became a young man, and then an old man. His grandfather was long gone, but the stories lived inside him. Travelers still came, children still gathered, and now he was the storyteller. He told of rivers, of love, of sacrifice, of mistakes. Children listened like he once did. One little girl asked, "Sir, what is the lesson?" The old storyteller smiled. He reached into a basket and placed a shining fruit before them, just like his grandfather once did. The children stared in wonder. "Stories can guide you," he said gently, "but wisdom must be tasted." Some children were confused, some smiled, but slowly they began to understand. They listened deeper. They felt more. They lived kinder. The village changed. People helped each other more. They were patient. They were grateful. Because they weren't just hearing lessons, they were living them. And in that quiet land of hills and valleys, stories didn't just entertain, they transformed hearts. The truth is simple. No one can live life for you. No one can feel your pain. No one can grow your wisdom. Advice can guide you. Stories can inspire you. But understanding comes only through experience. Just like a fruit must be tasted to know its sweetness, life's lessons must be lived to be understood. So when challenges come, don't run. Feel them. Learn from them. Grow through them. Because the wisdom you discover yourself will always be the sweetest.